Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Dan. I was just hoping to get some clarification on working with the prerequisites when we're processing resources. Um, my, there's two items I'm curious about. One of them is, are we allowed to use uh, internet resources that are not part of the Subject to Climate website? So, for example, I'm working on this one right here called the carbon cycle. And I think it would be helpful if the students were familiarized with concepts related to the Industrial Revolution, sustainable technology, closed versus open cycles on Earth. The Industrial Revolution is no problem. We have plenty of great things on our website already to help with that, so I was able to choose the one that I like best and linked it in there. For the closed versus open cycles on Earth, I'm worried that it's an important thing for this particular video that kids understand, but it's an earth sciencey, atmospheric science, sometimes geologic science concept that we might not have available on our website for a while, depending on what resources are processed and when they get put up there and everything like that. So I found something out there that's like very straightforward. It's just a nice explanation with a visual, and I wanted to link it into our resource, but I don't know if we need permission from the people who made this in order to use it. Are we allowed to just use it and they would feel special that we did reference their web page? I mean, it's a little bit different than in the normal course of a day where a colleague might say, hey, do you have anything good on this? Yeah, here's a website, to the person down the hallway, go ahead and use it, but no one would really ever know. I know what we're doing here is different, it's public, the scope and scale is different. So the question is, can we scope around the internet and find things that are useful and helpful and link them into the resource, provided they're not behind a paywall? Because I know, Dan, you helped clarify that when I tried to link in that New York Times map. But if it's not behind a paywall, if it's free and sitting out there, are we allowed to use it? Or should we just stick to things that are on the Subject to Climate website? The second question I had is, I've been putting in the prerequisites of the first bullet, I've been putting none are required. Then in the second bullet, I've been putting, basically if you want to go deeper, if you want to provide more context and things like that. And when I look at the resource developer guide, I'm definitely getting the vibe that I should not be putting that first bullet in there. I don't see it anywhere. I clicked on other resources that other people have done. I don't see that anywhere. The reason I keep putting it in there probably has to do with my own experiences looking on the internet to find resources to use in the classroom. There's times where I'm doing that and I don't have a lot of time. There's times I'm doing that and I have plenty of time. So the reason I'm putting none are required is that if a teacher is really pressed for time, they definitely wanted to get their students a little more prepared for what they're going to show in class, but it was one of those weeks where they had 18 parent phone calls, a bunch of COVID stuff, some pop-up meetings that they weren't counting on, but they still wanted to deliver the video or deliver the lesson and then see where the discussion goes, see what extensions can come from the students' understanding and kind of do it in that order. Then seeing that none are required is reassuring for the teacher to say, I can do this now and then fill in the blanks later, depending on what gaps my students have in their own understanding about this thing. That's usually not the preferred pathway that any educator, and I'm sure you guys know that any educator does not like to work like that, but that sometimes is the reality of it. And then the second bullet point, like the one I have here, is if you have the time and you're on top of your game and you can get these concepts into your students' minds before you watch the video, they're going to get so much more out of it. So I've been trying to address both because I've been in both situations before where you're scrambling and then there's some weeks where you're not scrambling. But I may be overthinking it. I may be breaking from the standards that we have for how these are supposed to look. So I don't want to go rogue here, and I also don't want to put things in there that are just going to need to be taken out later. So when I see prerequisite as a teacher, sometimes I feel like it means this is what you have to do before you can use this lesson, especially as a science teacher, because sometimes there's materials too that you need to have, and these need to be really considered before you can just introduce them to the class. So am I overthinking that? Should I not put that bullet in there and just let it go? Is that a helpful thing, or could there be some other language that says you don't necessarily need these things, but if you want to go deeper, you can? So just a little bit of of clarification on that would be helpful, because I was putting them in there, and I was trying to not to put them in there, but I'm feeling this temptation to still go back later and then like add them back in later, or some of the ones I do have in there, I feel this temptation to take them out. So I just want to be to a place where I understand what we want to do and how we want these to look. Thanks so much. Any clarification you can give on that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys.